Hey everyone, my name's Andy. I'll be your host today. We've got Kasper with us today. Thanks for coming on, Kasper. Really appreciate it. I can't even tell you how many times you've been on, so it's a frequent visit. Uh, wanted to bring wanted to bring you back on to talk about the current developments in the market. Seems like there's a lot of things that are breaking out. They look good. Wanted to get your opinion on it. So thanks for coming on. Appreciate it, Kasper.
Yeah, and thank you, Andy. I think we're closing in on 20. Again, plus minus five. More like plus, I guess. But yeah, it's nice to have these roughly 3 weeks, 4 weeks maybe, conversations with you and your audience, and I hope they appreciate them as well. So
All right, guys, how about we start with you can choose. I think we're going to start with platinum. Platinum looks like it potentially is broken out. Like to get your opinions on it. So, what are you seeing? What's your opinions and thoughts around platinum to start with?
straight to business, I like it. I'm gonna share, and let me know when you can see. So I'm not
It's up.
cool, cool, good. Let's zoom in again. I just want to because we talked roughly 3 weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken, and we were here and we were waiting, at least I was waiting for that 1050 to break, which I think it had at that point in time. So because I mentioned, hey, we're really bullish and this one is taking off. And yeah, ever since we're up 15% in 2 weeks, 3 weeks time. And is there more to come? Absolutely. This is just the beginning of a massive, massive uptrend that will go on for many years. Not in a straight line, of course, but again, it will be one where, again, we will make major higher highs on the weekly and monthly time frame. We will have the pullback and all that good stuff like we always see, and then we'll go higher again. So it will be two steps forward and one step backwards for quite some time for a metal platinum that is extremely rare. I think it's 30 times more rare than gold, or 15 at least. It's again a lot more rare than gold. And people can say, electric vehicles, the demand will go down and all that. But again, it doesn't matter because what we're looking at here is supply and demand. So maybe demand will go down 40%, but if supply drops 80%, the price is going up. So yeah, and yeah, a long-term trend has been started roughly 1 month ago, and yeah, it looks good. It looks fantastic.
No, look at this from a longer term perspective. We're at the beginning of this big breakout. We broke out from recently out of that consolidation from 2008. So, where do you think we're going to go? What kind of rough time frame, if you want to give a time frame, what what should someone expect kind of going through this bull market in your opinion? Like, how could one take full advantage of platinum here now that we're breaking out? What's expected to come? What's required of everyone to kind of hold through this thing?
Yeah, I mean, it was again funny because I just took the platinum, which is a different ticker, but basically it gives the exact same view. And in my book, we are exactly here, give or take. So going back 25 years, we also broke out of from a very similar trend line. And you could also argue that we have below that trend line, we have the exact same kind of, patterns going on. Yes, we have the COVID madness there, I know, but again, below the trend line, more or less, we're seeing the exact same formation. So this is one big fractal that is again breaking out. And if we are to have any, again, timing wise, I often don't say when it's going to happen because that is difficult. Just look at cocoa. I said it's going to take, 5 years to get there, and it basically took 18 months and it doubled that. So it is very difficult to get correct, but that was a big move. Um, But for me here for platinum, we are almost always going to see what I call the triangle high, in this case, the all-time high. We are not 100%, but because nothing is, but we are going to see all-time highs, which is roughly 2,300. And then again, very simply, we have a big, not perfect, but we have an uptrend here, a parallel channel almost, and I think we're going to tag that. So very similar to this, we're going to see that move. Um, so that is, my base case. And if you go into the deeper rabbit hole of ratios, you will probably see higher platinum prices. But until we start to, hopefully, again, we don't know, but get to these levels up here, I'm not gonna aim any higher. Even though I would like to, and I have some ratios in mind that could, again, if you look at gold, that one is pointing to way higher prices compared to gold. So yeah, all-time highs should be in the cards over the next, I will say, again, timing, I hate to do timing, but 2 years, 1 year, 2 years time. We should see all-time highs, which is only, again, I say only, but it's only 100%. And yeah, you're having some weird crypto coin do that in half an hour. So why can't platinum do that in 1 year? So
Here's another question. As we break out, like we're going through right now, are you going to try to time any of the short-term moves? Like we saw that big pullback in 2001 or two back in the day. We saw a big breakout and then a
yeah,
big retracement back to roughly where we broke out almost. Are you going to try to time any of those movements or are you going to ride the whole thing as far as you can?
no, personally, again, both you and I know that we have been waiting basically 4 years for this. And especially the past 1 year, we have had big focus because whenever you get into like a 3 year wedge pattern, you are very close to that breakout. And it happened now. So I'm not going to sit here and try to scout this or try to sell into highs or something like that. I'm not interested in any selling until we at least, and I say at least, reach all-time highs for platinum. And even then, I'm like, why should I? The only thing that you should use this for is if you have miners and you want to time those, because they are very sensitive to like a 40% pullback, for instance, on platinum. They will get smoked when that happens. So I will only use the platinum price and potential bigger targets where we can see pullbacks in order to maybe scale out of miners. Other than that, no, I'm not gonna play tricky because I did that on Coco and I messed up big time, and I'm not gonna do that again. That again. So I made some money, but
Yeah,
again, I left 80% on the table on that one. So yeah,
I
so
uh,
5x. Yeah. So
I got caught out of some natural gas equities back last bull market
mm,
that did crazy stuff. I didn't leave 80% on the table. I left a lot more than that. I mean, I
yeah,
left a lot, but I also was pretty new to the game. So, okay, so you're going to ride this thing at least with the physical metals, hopefully from this breakout where we're at today, all the way at least to new all-time highs, and maybe all the way up to maybe a ratio area that you might potentially start to look to sell. I'm guessing,
yeah,
or that
yeah,
top trend line channel
yeah, for
band,
sure.
maybe,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. And you also, before we go on, you mentioned this pullback here again. Typically,
Mhm.
after the first big breakout, which this is, this is almost 20 years, the big players often, of course, they buy the break, but they also buy the first pullback after a massive breakout. That's when they are ready, because they have seen the signs. Hey, bull market, first pullback, and they buy the crap out of that when they get their signals. So uh, again, this is not advice, but again, this is what you should be looking for again if you want to add into platinum or buy coins, whatever. So that is the way to do it.
I will be buying if that does occur. I've already purchased up to my nose in it, but I
I
will
know.
actually buy that if it does occur because I'm looking exactly at what you just said there. Because that's what I look for is that back
Yeah.
test retest, and I always buy the retest. That's correct. Um, Anything else that you noticed with the platinum chart, or anything else that you'd like to talk about with platinum?
No, I just want to mention that I think last week or 2 weeks ago, we had platinum miners break out big time as well. They are very difficult to get correct because the charts are very messy. But we did see a lot of big breakouts in a very tiny mining sector that is platinum. And that is, of course, extra confirmation that this move is, in my book, very, very correct as we speak. So,
Okay, so moving on to silver. I know silver is another hot topic with a lot of people. A lot of people have vested interests in silver, the
yeah.
silver squeeze. So what's your opinions around silver?
Yeah, I mean, again, nothing has changed ever since we broke out 1 year ago. Again, and that's the most difficult part. Again, if if I were to say that you can buy silver again at 26 and you would be 40% higher in 1 year, most people wouldn't buy it. Even though it's 1 year, it's way too long for people to even think about. But again, that is what I've been saying. The big break here in 2024, 26 was such a big moment in time. There are multiple ratios that confirms that. You have gold breaking out against inflation, which basically silver is tracking. But also you're getting back above the big bear market breakdown here as well on top of that. So that to me was, hey, you have to be long-term bullish on platinum, excuse me, on silver. And you basically want to buy every dip that you see. And you can see here we have been going up nicely. And again, 40% in 1 year. I think that is outperforming the bigger indices as well. And no one is talking about silver. So um, but yeah, silver, we can go into the bit more short-term stuff here because there was a very big moment happening last week. And this was also something that I've mentioned to the stock stack, and that is if we break that little teeny weeny, what's that, 10 days worth of wedge going on, I think we're going to tag the red, and then we're going to tag the golden, and then we're going to break out. Again, it happened a lot faster than I've thought. I thought we would get, a lot of retesting and then go. But again, it basically played out to perfection. And also said that once we start to trade north of 34.5, 35 give or take, then we're going to see at least 40 in the near run. So, so yeah, 40 is it's in the cards. And then the big, again, if you get that little extra at the end of a move last year, you break the blue and then you go to 50, and it could happen insanely quickly. Because silver, it does nothing for basically 95% of the time. But when it does, those 5%, they make up everything. So yeah, I think 40 is up. And if we can break the blue, I say if, then we see 50 in a matter of weeks.
There's a lot of talk around the $35 level being big resistance. And if we break the $35 level kind of going horizontally across, that we would get a big run out of silver. Are you in that camp where you think if we can, since we're above 35, do you think we're going to get a big run immediately, or do you think there's going to still be some grinding going along at some point? I know it's a difficult question because nobody knows the future, but what's your opinions around breaking the 35 and what could potentially come after that?
Yeah, it is a good question. I mean, 35 for me has never been a big obstacle on my charts. Again, I know why people are saying that. But again, the reason is, I think, is we have this big block here, which we're basically breaking above, and that's why people are saying it. So yeah, again, 35 was a big one, and yeah, again, the deal. We have been looking at it for so many times. We're getting into what's it called, like thin air, where we basically have no trading. Again, we have only been up here for like a few months back in 11, and then only 1 month here. So you can see we have no trading whatsoever, no volume and nothing. So the last move here could come insanely quickly, a lot quicker than people might think. Again, it all depends. If we can break the blue here, the uptrend channel, then we get a big spike up, and then we see. Um, but yeah, massively bullish still, long term, short term, mid term on silver, and that hasn't changed for like 1 year. Um, yeah,
Here's another one. It might be a little bit of a different question. When we break out, or if we break out here, what do you want to see? Do you want to see a slow grind up, or do you want to see a huge freaking spike? I mean, most everyone wants to see a spike. I want to see a slow grind where we don't go to like 50 in like a second, where like we get this huge volatility and it just chucks everybody around. I like the slow and steady where we break out and then kind of consolidate and then kind of go into a large move. What's your opinions around that, if you have any?
yeah, I have one. Again, once you break out of any pattern, you at that point you want momentum because you want this to be as clean as it gets. Basically there are no one selling. Basically, everyone is buying. Plus, you have people that has to cover their shorts as well. So it all depends on where you are in the charts. But yeah, difficult question. Again, there's no real answer to that in my book. It all depends on multiple things. But one of them, again, as mentioned, whenever you have a breakout, you want it to be very quick.
Yeah,
Um,
big candlestick,
yeah, big
boom, and
candlestick,
then the
for instance,
consolidate.
like this, right? You break here. Again, this is 20 years ago, but you break $6 and then you go to like nine instantly, and then you retest and then you grind, and then you see again breakout here, you get boom, and then you wait. So again, it all depends on where you are on the charts, basically. So every breakout should come with momentum and with volume. Then you have a very good idea about, that this is valid.
Yeah, so when I think of this stuff, we have a lot of uranium investors that watch, and I know we're talking about silver, but uranium's one heck of a hold because it moves very quick and then it just falls flat on its face, and everybody gets all sorts of uh, messed up emotional wise. So that's why I brought it
Yeah,
up.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Silver versus the DXY dollar.
Yeah, again, it's silver, but you measure it against, the dollar index. And again, why is that important? In my book, it's very important because again, going back to 2024, you actually had a big breakout against the dollar index, meaning we could have a period where the dollar index is strong. But again, this indicates that even if that happens, that silver is better. It's a better play because you're breaking out against it. It's outperforming the dollar index. And now we've also broken out of this horizontal zone. Again, big bear market breakdown here, like we saw last time, and now we're breaking back about that. So you're having silver also outperforming not only the dollar but the index as well in a whole or as a whole. So yeah, there's a lot of good views for silver to come, and yeah.
I know this isn't on your list because I don't see it, but what's your opinions around the gold to silver ratio? Because I know we went all the way up a little bit over 100, and now it looks like it's coming back down. So, what's your opinions there?
We can do a little bit of the most important ratio in my book when it comes to mining as well. Again, I don't think people realize how important well, it's actually the silver to gold ratio, but again, gold silver ratio is just the inverse of that. How important this is to the direction of the miners. And funny enough, right, we're having a major 3 days puke here, big breakdown, and you see miners just blast. So you want this one to collapse, and every time it does that, that is when the mining stocks are just going to go ballistic. Um, and we can see here, if I'm just going to find the correct view, that's good. So this here, again, also mentioned anything above, when we were here, and I say if we're going to break to the upside, above like 92, that is when bad things happen. And this was basically, the whole tariff thing. You had markets, the Nasdaq, uranium, silver, everything basically puking 5, 10, 15% upon that spike there. But ever since it stalled, and we could see, a bit of a higher high here, and then bear flagging, and then finally last week we broke down, and now comes the big one. We closed the gap quite big, the tariff gap, actually went straight through, and now we're sitting at a big support coming from all the way over here. So this could be the beginning. I think it is. It could be the beginning of a major move down in the ratio. And again, if that happens, let's say we're going to come down to just in the short term to like 80. Again, it's a big drop. It's still like 100, like 20%, 12%, my bad. The miners is going to do wonders. And if we zoom way out, just realize how high we still are. And my targets, when this all is over, is it's way down here. So again, when this collapses over the next 5 years, the mining sector is gonna be a lot higher. And like I've been saying, it's not only gold miners and silver miners, it's also uranium, it's iron, it's whatever. The mining sector, when this ratio collapses, the mining sector goes on a tear. And this one will be no different. So, so yeah.
You're thinking a lot of outperformance for silver versus gold in the potential short to midterm
Oh,
is your
absolutely.
expectation. Yep.
Absolutely, yeah. And when this all is over, we're going to be way lower than where we are today. And we have been talking about that in a few videos, so we will not dive into that. But again, we will definitely be way lower. But it won't be an easy ride. Not for me, not for you, not for everyone. It will be difficult. So
Okay. So what's next up on your
on the
list
list,
to show there? Yeah,
let's do oil. I know you like oil,
I
and
do.
we want to talk about oil because again, we want to just cook it down here to look at, the last few months here, and we had a major breakdown of a wedge. This wedge goes back 4 years, so that was a big moment where we finally broke down and did a lot of retesting on top of that, but that's a different story. And then last week on Friday, we actually broke to the upside of this little mini 2 month formation fractal, you can call it whatever. And now comes the big one in my book, the 66 right here. That's the retest of the wedge, but also the shorter term downtrend, the 2025 downtrend. If we can start to, wiggle back in here and start to, I mean, that is when things are getting scary for people that are betting short on oil. Um, because most likely, if you get back in, you back test, and then all of a sudden you're up and away. So 66, if people want to look for an important level to hopefully break in the very near futures, this could happen this week actually. 66 will be the one to look for on the USD WTI, that is. It's a bit different on crude, but yeah, 66 will determine a lot of things for oil, and also if this is a false breakout, the entire energy sector. And the backside is, of course, inflation will gonna again that is gonna hit us very hard in 2 years' time, if that's the case. So yeah.
Yeah, it was a it's a similar move because that was the Liberation Day, April
Mm.
4th or
Yeah, yeah,
whatever
yeah,
it
yeah.
was, April whatever it was. Um, so Liberation Day shot us down,
Boom. Yeah, exactly.
just like 9/11 did in 2001. So 9/11 was the big pullback in the beginning of that big bull market. I think this is the same thing.
Yeah,
That's my
could very well
opinion.
be. Yeah, could very well
So
be. But
yeah, I'm
again, in order to get the big confirmation, just like we had 1050 on platinum, I will say in order to confirm this as a false breakdown, when we clear roughly 72 and start to trade north of that, I think that's when there's no more questions about, hey, we're going to go higher. So,
here's another thing that I do, my own thing.
mhm.
Platinum and oil kind of trade together, and we've had platinum break out. So I kind of look at oil like, okay, this thing's probably going to follow platinum.
Yeah,
That's just my thing. They're
I
both
completely
inflation
agree.
sensitive assets.
Yeah, I know the correlation
So
between those two, and they are very high. So, absolutely,
yeah.
platinum looks fantastic. Why shouldn't oil follow? Again, it might lag or whatever, but again, if you do an overlay, you will not be in question that platinum and oil definitely track each other very, very much long term. Uh, Not day to day, of course, but long term.
And anything else you want to say about oil? I know we've been on this. I see some other stuff you want to get to.
Yeah.
So
No, I think 66, and let's get back in like a month, and again, I think we will have some clear signs of what the future outlook for oil is. So.
yeah, I'm excited to see Apple
Yeah,
versus
yeah.
uranium.
It's again, it's a weird ratio, but again, to me, it makes a lot of sense because Apple, major tech company, and again, if you can't outperform Apple, let's say, why should you invest in anything else? Again, and we can see here that actually Apple broke down. Again, this is Apple first, so again, when it goes up, this is Apple outperforming, and we also have to give some credit where it's due. Just look at the outperformance, basically since Fukushima. That's again, you just had URA crashing, 90%, and you had Apple shoot up, uh, way more,
Massively.
massively, yeah. And a big breakdown here, back test, and for the past 1 year, excuse me, 4 years, we've basically gone sideways, with a bit, upsloping, trend to it, and that's a bear flag all day long. And these patterns where you have a big run up, and then you start to do a bear flag. You can look at platinum in 2021, for instance. Whenever that bear flag broke down, as we just looked at, platinum spent 3, 4 years actually going down, down, and then finally now after 3 years, finally going up again. So these big topping with a bear flag is very dangerous to any chart, any stock, any commodity. And we're actually teasing here with a breakdown in Apple against uranium, the miners. And to me, this tells me that if that happens, we will have uranium outperform one of the biggest tech stocks that there is, and therefore, in my book, basically outperform tech as a whole, most likely over a longer period, because these big patterns they tend to play out for, I would say, at least 5 years before we are to see anything that could come into favor for Apple. Again, big long-term time frames, monthly candlesticks, so it takes some time, but these can be very deadly to any chart if you get a breakdown here, which again, we can zoom in here and be very picky. It is definitely toying with that breakdown. So very interesting ratio for many years to come if you want to go into tech or uranium. Yeah.
Yeah, uranium looks like it's gonna rip it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
gonna rip
URA
Apple in
just
half.
broke the big 34, yeah, last week or last day, I can't remember. Anyway, it just broke out against that whole, we are in basically into 12, 13-year highs on that. And yeah,
Because
it's
if you look at a URA chart, just straight up, just URA, I mean that thing looks like it's ready to rip. I mean,
it does, yeah.
it's right up against resistance, the horizontal, ready
Yeah.
to kind of rip. I mean, it looks so good.
Yeah, it does.
So
And we
I,
have again cup and handle vibes and all that good
yep,
stuff. Again, it looks incredible. Uptrend is fully intact still.
yeah.
But again, this has been tough, especially the past, basically 2024, I think was
Mhm.
very, very tough on people that were in uranium. Because this was all happy days. Again, I purchased like 80% of my stuff late 2020, right around here. And then this was good. And then this was also very constructive, right? Massive pennant again. This any day of the week, I mean, this is beautiful. And then we actually, again, if price won't kill you, time will. And this was detrimental to most people. That was, again, again, if you invested purely by Twitter, the sentiment, you would have gotten an amazing entry here. This was, again, there were no balls left, basically. Um, and now we are, again, look at the reversal here. Again,
This thing
basically
looks
V shape,
ridiculous.
boom. It's very, very strong price behavior. You have monthly momentum also turning green very soon.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is insane. That is the first time we
because
have spoken this, bullish on uranium, where you can also actually see the chart breaking out. Because we have been
I
looking
mean,
at URA divided by the spot price. That the entire time has been looking good, but this is beautiful.
yeah, this thing looks to me, this thing looks like we could get into the hundreds.
Yeah,
Like
easily. Yeah, yeah,
we could get a nice big impulse move
yeah.
up into yeah, like the 100 something, maybe even more. Yeah, I mean this looks
Hmm.
insanely strong. If we
Yeah,
can
like
break away through this resistance here in the short term, yeah, it looks
yeah,
good.
yeah. The measured move is still 80, right? And even
Yeah,
if we get back to 80, we're not even close. Well, we are close, but we haven't, uh, broken the Fukushima gap still. And just remember how much has happened fundamentally after that, since then. Incredibly cheap still,
I
especially, yeah,
I think we're gonna beat. I think we're gonna beat 80. I think
yeah,
we're going up to 1.618 or 2.618. That's my guess.
yeah, me too. And again,
That's
now we
me.
do a little bit more time here, but I want to
I'm
show
third
you.
wave Ullman because you measured it off the first wave there.
Yeah, again, this is what
I
have
think we're gonna roll.
this year is what kept me sane during 2024, because again, this is the again URA divided by the U.UN, which is basically a
Mhm.
mirror to the spot price. And again, this is the textbook definition of a VCAF, accumulation phase, and this is the ratio. And if you overlay these, it's not 1 to 1, but it's 0.9 or something. It is dead on, and we are right here, right there. Right. Everything else has been perfectly. So this is what kept me sane, sane during this period here where we actually had the ratio do what it was supposed to do according to the ratio. And this is my path basically when to sell. I'm not going to use of course I am, but I'm most likely going to use the ratio chart in order to somehow get me out at a good point. It won't be the top, of course, but again, to get me out whenever I think now is the time. Um, beautiful ratio and beautiful fractal as well. And this is 10 years, by the way. This is not a week, this is 10 years. So you could have miners still outperform the metal 200%. And if you look at the metal, again, now we look at the U.UN, which is that mirror. Again, look at the price behavior here. So if you have miners outperform, let's say 100%, and you have this chart on the metal, yeah, it's incredible. It really is incredible. And this one, again, could easily go into the to
Crazy.
yeah, close to the hundreds again. And yeah, it's crazy. It's yeah.
This could
Rarely
be
do I
way
speak
up.
this. Yeah, it is. It is really a lot of good things is happening, especially when we get U.UN above 24. Then we break the 18-month bullfrag here, 24, and the miners will outperform that as well. So it is a very good cocktail to enjoy during this period, in my view. Even though 2024 was very, very mentally difficult. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, uranium looks fantastic. I see you've got some other stuff up there. What other stuff would you like to talk about?
Yeah, just like you, again, ratios in my book are
Mhm.
very underestimated of how important they are. And again, this is First Majestic, the biggest silver producing or mining company in the entire world, divided by silver. And just a simple, in my view, a very, very simple trend line breakage here. When you have the biggest player in the silver space breaking out against silver, that is always fantastic, right? That's always really, really good to see. Meaning that you have First Majestic outperforming the metal, and we have looked at the metal. It looks very strong. You have the biggest miner to outperform that most likely, and the rest will follow. So yeah, one ratio tells a thousand what you call words, I guess. This is really, really, really nicely looking, and we need just that final little notch in my book here before confirming it. So yeah, silver miners looks again really, really good.
Do you ever look at the SILJ to silver ratio?
Yeah, I do. I do. I think
Because
I have it
that
somewhere.
looks it looks almost the same as First Majestic there. You got a
It's a bit
downtrend
of a
line that's breaking. It looks fantastic.
if I remember correctly, it's a bit weird. Yeah, it's a bit it's not the I need the other one. Silver XAG USD. That's better. Yeah, my bad. So yeah, it is again, if we take this horizontal out of the way here, internal wedge breakage, still overall in a like a 9 year downtrend, but this is definitely the beginning in my book to start the at least short-term outperformance, which later on will result in longer term. And then we have this last little hurdle, which is somewhere around here to basically get above these lows here. You can see resistance, resistance, resistance. So that is the last little hurdle for me, which is roughly 0.44 in the ratio. And then we ought to see a quick short term 20% outperformance by the miners. And then ultimately we're going to do that. So it looks good. It really does. And expect the gold silver ratio to collapse, during this period as well. This will basically do that, the opposite of that. So that is really good
Yeah,
looking.
the
Yeah.
silver will outperform gold. Yep.
Yeah, 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 it will. And again, just now has silver starting to look a little bit more interesting than gold. Gold has been the big winner for the past year, right? Even though many people were rooting on silver, but again, gold has just been incredible. 60% in a year, or like a year and 3 months. That is truly amazing. Even though silver has done well, gold has just been king. But over the next few months here, maybe weeks, that is going to change in my book, where silver will be the better play. Just look at platinum; it's also moving, and yeah, I think the other metals will catch up now. So
Yeah, here's a question related to that. You said platinum and silver. You think platinum's going to outperform silver, or you think silver's going to outperform platinum?
I think short
Opinions
term,
only.
yeah, short
Whatever.
term, whatever short term is, silver, and then later on, platinum will definitely. Well, we could look at the ratio because I can see it in front of me. I know how exactly how it looks. So um, that was not correct, was it? No, we have to do it the other way around
Silver
because
divided by
yeah,
platinum there.
And we've got to do it the other way around, I guess, because that's, I think, a bit more. So let's remove that. So for now, again, we have had a little bit of an false breakout, but until we start to break this stuff here, which could take, like a year, again, of course, short-term platinum will could do better, but again, overall, still in an overall downtrend. So once we start to get this potential wedge break here, that's when platinum will actually do better than silver. So yeah, platinum both will do well. Don't get me wrong, both will do tremendously well, but it's all about a time frame preference thing. So yeah.
I'm just curious.
Mhm.
Looks like you've got CCO. Is that Cameco or?
That's Cameco, yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, again, weird ratio, but to me, it's just to get a bit of a guide of the blue chip in uranium and the blue chip in silver, right? Which one is doing better? And clearly, ever since that break in 2021, there has only been one winner. That's Cameco. Cameco is up 10x. And funny enough, right, Cameco, the big blue chip, I think is the best performing uranium stock for the past 3, 4 years. It has done tremendously well. It has basically been carrying, if you can say that, the entire ETFs, the uranium ETFs as well. So the big guys will move first, and we saw that in gold as well, and we saw that in uranium, and yeah, different story. But to me, here again, massive breakout, no retest whatsoever, just straight up and then sideways out. So if we start to trade north of here, Cameco will be the better play. If we start to break down here, First Majestic will be the better play. So it's just a guide for me just to see, which blue chip in various sectors that is performing the best. And by the look of things now, Cameco is better until proven otherwise. So this is still a flagpole with a flag. So, and they resolve to the upside, 75% of the time, give or take. So yeah,
So by looking at this, you're potentially saying that uranium could outperform silver companies here if that is a positive break to the upside.
absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is that kind of what your thinkings might occur?
To be a difficult question again. I have again to me, I'm only looking at this and whatever which way it goes, that's my
Gotcha.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So I'm heavily invested into both, and it doesn't mean that if it does this, that hey, uranium is that First Majestic is going to go down. I think both are going to go up. Just which one is going to do it more? So yeah,
Right.
so yeah,
Yeah, I also wanted to talk about copper. I see you've got copper up there. Chart's not looking too bad. What's your opinions with copper?
yeah. It doesn't look too bad. Again, a little bit. Again, according to how I do things, a bit messy lately. Again, we have also have had a lot of world news and all that, so that is definitely pushing things around. But we're still in this bit of a rising wedge. If it breaks to the upside, as mentioned last time as well, 5.5, we go very quickly to 7.5, the upper end of that whole uptrend here. And I think that's going to happen. Again, I can't explain exactly why, but it's just the view of
What
it, the
about
view of it. Yeah.
what about drawing a line across the top and creating a cup and handle? Would that be a valid?
Yeah, 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 for
So the
sure.
big the big one, the cup starts in 2011.
This one
Yeah,
there.
that
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Yep,
Yeah, so we have yeah, for sure. Again, yeah,
couple of cup and
to
handles in there,
totally valid. I get that. Again, it makes a lot of sense. You could do something like that, and then you
like
have
that.
yeah,
That's exactly
exactly.
how I. Yep.
And that's maybe why I had, the hunch that it again, for sure that is a totally valid point here. You have a cup and a handle. Within the handle, you even have a cup and handle. So again, whatever. So yeah,
Yes.
5.5 and we go up 50%. We will probably see that in 2026. So very quickly, 50%, 40%,
Another
50%.
thing, the projected move is usually the size of the cup, and if you put the size of the cup up on top of it, the big one, the
Oh, the
one
big one. Yeah,
in
yeah, for sure. Yeah, we can do
yeah,
that as well.
it'll push us above everything,
Yeah, exactly.
which could be
Exactly.
incredibly bullish
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
we could get
Yeah.
it to break.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. Exactly. Um, So yeah, again, that's also again when I say, we go to 7.5 because that is my next big resistance. Of course, if we break that, just like we saw on the blue line on silver, if you break that at 40, you shoot to 50 very quickly because you're breaking an upsloping channel, which is typically leads to very rapid moves. And if you do that as well here, I mean, you could easily do that very quickly. Again, this is all, you know, projections into the future. Will it happen? We don't know, but definitely copper looks good together with every metal basically. Rhodium looks above 600. It could double easily over the next, I don't know, 3 months or so. It looks really, really frisky as well. Tungsten, which is also, I don't know exactly what it's used for, but that is also looking really, really good. So yeah, metals in general, I can't complain. It looks good.
Yeah, we used a lot of tungsten carbide in machining for
Ah, okay.
the bits and stuff like that. It's
I
probably
see, I
used
see.
for drilling for earth into the earth too, like holes and stuff like that. I would guess a lot of
Yeah, okay.
tungsten in those
And this
drill
is
bits.
tungsten, by the way. I just took up the chart. So again, very close to some serious, horizontal levels here, roughly 7, and then you get some measured moves. The greedy ones, of course, at 40. So yeah, metals in general looks,
Good volume too on those
yeah, volume is
updates.
picking up here. We can do that. You're getting that there, big volume spikes. So if we can start to close like a week above 7, then all of a sudden
Mhm.
you have a very big potential move going on here over the next, wow, that could happen quickly. 2025 even. You could even see that during 2025.
Yeah,
Maybe into early 2026, but that could happen very quickly.
we
500%.
could. I mean, we could see platinum, silver, copper, no tungsten, basically everything.
Everything,
We
yeah.
could get lift off here in 2025. Everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I
It all
completely
looks
agree.
good. Well, since we were talking about copper too, you've got COPX there, which is the ETF. How does that look? Similar to copper itself?
Yeah, somewhat similar. It has been tracking almost 1 to 1. So you're not, again, you would have been better off, in my view, just to be in copper through some sort of ETF vehicle or tracker. But again, copper miners here breaking out of a falling wedge. It's internally, so it does mean something, but it's not the big breakouts. But I'm fully expecting this one to actually start to grind its way higher up to the upper end of the channel here. So yeah, 44, we could see, 57, give or take, 56 maybe, um, during 2025 into early 2026. So that is also a decent sized move here. Um, 30%. Again, timing, I hate do timings, calling dates, but and the reason of that is that pesky cocoa trade that I did. So from that point on, which was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I was not going to do any timings because that is difficult to get correct. So
You're starting to sound a lot like me. Difficult to time the short term, but something of good value or good setup in the chart, it's hard to know the exact path.
yeah, exactly, exactly. You have an idea about where to meet resistance and what again and all that, uh, but when you have the overall chart or the fractal, you basically go by that and you don't care what happened in between, more or less, right? Not always, but more or less.
That's what I do. Yeah, very
Yeah,
similar to that. Yeah. I think you had one more sector if you want to touch on it. I think it was hydrogen
hydrogen.
that
Yeah.
you had in there.
Again, just it shows me a little bit that I think that this one could also be opportunities, even though it hasn't done anything for like 10 years, but or excuse me, 3 years. But again, we're also having something as insane as hydrogen also trying to, again, we had one go here, but then we could just do a parallel to check. So you have hydrogen also, whatever that is for people, but a weird sector like hydrogen is also potentially trying to put in a big low here. Um, and when these stocks in hydrogen, when they move up or down, they go insanely quickly. So they can be very, very fortunate to if you hit one of these. So yeah, a lot of things looks frisky. This is mostly like energy. So this could be a good sign that energy, again, uranium looks really, really good. But also oil potentially breaking that 66 and like we talked about. So So yeah, just a fun little extra chart that basically I don't think many people have been looking at for the past years or two, 1, 2 years.
All right. That's all the questions that I have. Anything that you'd like to still share or show, or any comments, final comments that you'd like to make so far?
No, as always, thank you for having me on. Again, it's lovely to sit and talk to you and just show you my work, which again I do on the Substack, which people know where to find. You can find it in the Twitter bio if you want to, where we try to, just like you do, get correct entries, good do investments, and try to get out as close to the top, which you will never do, but as close to as possible. So yeah, that's all I have really.
Guys, that's all I've got for questions. Thanks for coming on, Casper. Really appreciate it. Hopefully, everybody enjoyed listening to our conversation. If you've enjoyed it, definitely click the thumb up, put something in the comments section, whatever you like about what we've discussed today, or maybe topics that you want us to discuss. Go ahead and put it in the comment section, and that's all I've got. So we'll see you later, guys. See ya.
Bye.